In the plains of the Eurasian steppe have long lived various peoples of Turkic origin. Many of them lived nomadic lifestyles, forever on the move. Pastoralism reigned supreme, living as hunter-gatherers since agriculture just wasn't feasible. Today, these people make up the modern nations of Central Asia. Turkey, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and others found within the borders of the surrounding nations. But there are one non-Turkic people who survived, with their culture intact till this day. Known as warriors, they terrorized populations across Asia, but were well respected for their sense of justice. To find out who was behind the success of this great culture, let's first look at a map. Now, this is Mongolia, a small, landlocked nation in Asia, situated between the behemoths, China, and Russia. So how did they historically hold an empire so vast, one that spanned from the Sea of Japan in the east to the Baltic and Mediterranean seas in the west, from the ruthless Siberian tundra in the north, to the shores of the mighty Indian Ocean in the south? How did this small nation achieve so much? Well, it was all because of one man, Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan's story begins in the mid-12th century with his mother, Olun of the Merkit clan. She was abducted by his father Yasuge, a lower-class warrior, who led his own smaller clan. Genghis was born Temujin Borjigin, and was known to be easily frightened by the most trivial of things. At the age of 9, his father took him on a search for a future wife, as was customary in Mongolia. He was thus betrothed to Bort, the daughter of a friend of Yasuge. As part of the agreement, Temujin was to spend 5 years working for the family before the two could marry. Soon after Yasuge departed, however, he was poisoned at a feast by a rival clan. By the time he'd returned home, he was too weak and could only send for Temujin before breathing his last. Temujin rode home to witness his family being abandoned by their clan, left to die in the cold Siberian winter. A brave elder stood up to the warriors of the clan and demanded an explanation for this cruelty. For his act of courage, however, he was met with a spear through the abdomen. Temujin will remember this. Temujin and his family moved north, to the forests of Siberia. His older half-brother Behter took over the family, bossing Temujin around and stealing the fish and birds he brought home, claiming them as his own. Temujin pleaded with his mother to put an end to this injustice, but he was ignored. Thus, Temujin decided to take matters into his own hands. He recruited his younger brother Qasar, and they followed Behter into the woods with their bows drawn. As Behter took his first shot at a wild bird resting on a tree, he was met with 2 shots to the side, quickly succumbing to his injuries. Temujin and Qasar returned home with weary eyes, and Olun didn't need to be told what had happened to know. Temujin was now the man of the house, in charge of his own destiny. While living in the woods, Temujin befriended a boy named Jamuka, who was slightly older than him. As their friendship flourished, Temujin and Jamuka became Anda, or blood brothers, making a pact using their blood. When Temujin turned 16, he returned to Bort's family, and they had their marriage officiated. Bort's father gave Temujin a black sable coat as a dowry, which typically would have gone to Temujin's father. Temujin, with ever-increasing responsibilities, feels a need for protection. Thus, he takes the sable coat that he received as a dowry and gives it to Ong Khan, the powerful ruler of the Karayak clan, who once fought alongside his father. In doing so, Temujin acknowledged that Ong Khan was his patron and his liege. This newfound protection from Ong Khan allowed Temujin, Bort, and the rest of their family to live a couple of years of peace as pastoralists. As all good things do, This era of peace for Temujin and his family also came to an end. One night, the Merkit clan attacked their family, abducting Bort and destroying their camp. Temujin and the rest of the family were forced to flee and regroup in the hills once again. Temujin prays and performs various rituals to Tengri, the high god of the Mongolian people. He then makes the decision to regroup his forces as soon as possible to get revenge on the Merkit and reunite with his beloved. Temujin goes to Jemuka and Ong Khan for help. They agree to join him, and a counterattack is planned. On the day of the battle, Temujin leads the three armies from the front, braving enemy archers and slaughtering scores of Merkit men on his way to the camp. Once he is there, Temujin begins calling out to Bort. He runs around frantically, praying to find his wife. Suddenly, he feels someone grab the reins of his horse. Temujin turns with his sword at the ready, the rage of vengeance burning in his eyes, to see none other than Bort herself. The great warrior immediately dismounts and drops his sword. His wife throws herself into his arms, and they embrace in the center of the battlefield without care for the war and bloodshed around them. The Merkit are routed within the evening, many having been captured by this Triple Alliance. Contradictorily to Mongol customs, Temujin is merciful to the captured, sparing those who ask him for forgiveness. Temujin understands that by killing the Merkit men, he will do nothing but perpetuate the cycle of revenge, leading the Merkit children to grow up wanting him dead. Thus, he instead integrates the Merkit people into his own tribe, even giving a Merkit orphan to his mother Olun to raise as her own. Temujin also distributes the spoils of the raid much more liberally than what is typical of a Mongol leader. This attracts the attention of Jemuka's men, some of whom choose to join Temujin's tribe, frustrating Jemuka. He will remember this. Temujin and Jemuka combine camps and live together for some years. The two Anda lead their followers in very different ways. Jemuka values family connections, while Temujin promotes solely based on merit. Thus, the dividing line is drawn. Jemuka draws in the upper-class aristocrats, while Temujin's followers are by and large the lower-class peasantry. Both sides have adept warriors, but Temujin seems to have the edge when it comes to troop count, morale, and skill level due to his clan's meritocratic and egalitarian nature. Jemuka was unhappy being the weaker of the two blood brothers, and decided to expel Temujin's tribe from the camp. The previous day, Temujin caught wind of the plot and gathered his followers, departing under the cover of the night. As the sun rose, Jemuka awoke to find over half his camp deserted. The rivalry between Temujin and Jemuka, a blood feud, had solidified. Having understood his true strength, Temujin attempted a move of political intrigue. He asked for his son Jochi to marry Ong Khan's daughter. This would solidify his position as the heir to the Khan of the Karaites. However, Ong Khan refused and prepared his armies for war. He was joined by Jemuka on the quest to defeat Temujin. As the battle began, Temujin's forces attacked at night, leaving Jemuka and his allies vulnerable. Temujin was able to show off his flexible military strategies, effectively switching tactics multiple times throughout the battle. As the dust settled, Temujin emerged victorious, with Ong Khan having fallen in battle and Jemuka captured. His friend-turned-rival asked Temujin for one last wish, an honorable death, which he was granted. Temujin went on to build the largest contiguous empire in history. He elevated the Mongolian people, breaking harmful traditions and rebuilding Mongol culture. He destroyed aristocratic dominance, establishing that skill and loyalty were all one needed to be successful. After the battle, Temujin held a Kurultai, or council, of all his followers. By showing up, a warrior pledged allegiance to Temujin. After convening with Mongol shamans and religious leaders, Temujin was named Genghis Khan, the universal ruler.